Welcome to In the Zone. I'm your host, Dylan Shields. Starting with our Super Sports segment, multiple female Olympic qualifiers showed their dominance in soccer over the past week. Japan survived a game scare, handing North Korea a 2-1 loss, allowing them to take one of Asia's 2 spots at the Olympics this upcoming summer. Australia is also set to qualify for the Olympics after an absolutely dominant performance against Uzbekistan, winning 10-0. Australia's women's soccer team will begin another journey to play for gold as the Paris Olympics are set to begin July 26th, and we will keep you updated on the results thereafter. For the first time in 9 years, the U.S. Women's Open is set to be held right here in Lancaster County. The event now is less than 100 days away, and Lancaster is doing it all it can to attempt to somehow top the last U.S. Women's Open they hosted back in 2015. It will be hard to beat as the city brought in over 135,000 spectators, but as the city grows, the capacity of the people they can hold is only growing. The event will feature a multitude of players from all around the world, but the name to watch in 2024 is Alison Kerpuz. Kerpuz is currently first in rankings and looks to hold that title on the road to Lancaster. Now, let's get into some discussion. With the NBA All-Star Weekend behind us, some shifts in the college basketball rankings, and MLB spring training in full swing, we got a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. In the Zone starts now. Over the weekend, the current top seed in men's college basketball, UConn, took on Villanova, while Nova's 15-12 record is nothing to write home about. They started to get off to a bit of a hot streak, looking like the dominant team from previous years. While everyone had UConn winning this game, Villanova had a chance to prove themselves as a serious contender, heading into March, where they could compete for a title. Nova stayed within striking distance in the first half, but would ultimately lose to UConn 78-54. Is all hope lost for Villanova, Bill, or do you still like what you see in the Wildcats?
Growing up a Villanova fan, I've seen the absolute, their best days when they were winning championships 2 out of the 3 years in 2016 and 2018, and they were unbelievable teams and stacked rosters. Unfortunately, this is just not a team that can compete for a championship at all. Now, the one thing that I want to point out is Eric Dixon is an absolutely unbelievable player. He's averaging 16 points a game. He is very good, but there's just not a lot of special with this team. I just don't think they can compete with the top competition, as you saw with UConn. Even early on when it was close, UConn just was like, we're bigger, we're better, and we're going to beat you up for the rest of this game, and that is exactly what happened throughout the rest of that game. And kind of how I look at it, another school that's right around the Philadelphia area is St. Joe's, and they are only 1 game better than them in the conference. I just, with that being said, I just can't believe that they're serious contenders at all within the March Madness tournament.
Very interesting. What do you think, Owen?
Man, Philadelphia basketball is not having a good year when it comes to college. I mean, you got Villanova stinking up the place. You got St. Joe's not far behind. Drexel, Temple, they're not making any noise. It's just not looking good for them. And talking about Villanova, the season started probably with so much potential, but it never materialized. Never did. They need Jalen Brunson back at this point. Let's be honest. This Villanova team is disappointing. I can't lie. I wish that we could see a better team, but no, it's not going to be looking like that.
Yeah, well, I think, yes, maybe they're not championship contenders. I think we should take into account, though, Jay Wright retired from Villanova, one of the best college coaches of all time, and his replacement, Kyle Nepter, is trying to fill those shoes, and it's not going to be easy. So kind of a questionable future for Villanova, but we'll see where they go forward.
Yeah.
But recently, discussions about college basketball have dealt with a big, unavoidable topic, storming the court. The most recent discourse about this topic came after Wake Forest fans stormed the court following a big win over Duke. This unfortunately led to an injury to Duke big man Kyle Filipowski, and now has sparked a debate over whether measures need to be put in place for court storming or even should it be banned. Altogether, Bill, what do you think about this topic overall? Should they ban it?
They definitely should not ban it, to me. I think this has been tradition for decades, for centuries. It is always going to happen. When you go to a school or go to a game at all, and especially whether it's high school, collegiate, whatever it is, and you're able to pull off an upset like Wake Forest did against a great Duke team, the emotions are going to be high, and there is no better feeling than celebrating with everybody around you than what happened. Now, it sucks that the guy on Duke did get injured, but how many times have there been, I mean, it looked like he rolled his ankle, but how many times has there been a serious injury in a court storming? Because I don't think I've ever heard of a serious injury from a court storming, ever. And it's been happening again.
Well, it happened to Caitlin Clark, too.
It happened, but she played the next game.
She did.
So it's not, to me, if it is a serious injury and it's happening consistently, then sure. But at the end of the day, more often than not, you're bumping into somebody who is 5'8", 130 pounds. Like, I mean, you're not bumping into, you for 2.5 hours, you're bumping in with top of the class athletes.
Yeah.
And you feel a little bump from a little person compared to basketball players who are 6'8", and that's going to ruin your season. I think it's stupid.
Well, and I know you got strong 2 cents on it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Bill pretty much said the pretty important part, pretty much. I don't agree that court storming should be banned. I think that that's just a part of the culture at the end of the day. College basketball culture is one of the most important aspects of it. The fan culture, just being able to enjoy that atmosphere with your team, with your friends, your family even sometimes, like that's what really makes court storming special, especially when it's a underdog game, especially when you beat a team like top 10. That should be when court storming happens. And I see a lot of the time now that court storming happens like when
Pretty common.
When an unranked team beats like the 20th ranked team in the country,
Yeah.
like no, don't storm the court for that.
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
Like cheer for that, but yeah, that's not worthy of it. It should be more exclusive, I think. But like he said, it's going to happen anyway. You're never going to be able to stop the fans because it's going to be the security against all the fans. It's never going to be stopped. If the fans want to go onto the court, they will. But I will say this: I think that it's sad that the people got injured. Kyle Filipowski.
Oh yeah.
Like that sucks.
I think he's okay, but it is a shame he got.
Sprained his ankle, yeah. But
Yeah.
keeping the player safe should always be the priority. But at the same time, the fans should know not to be stupid and to try to maybe wait until after the players have left the court to do that, to storm the court. Because honestly, you're putting people in danger. It goes both ways. If the players want to keep the fans safe, the fans should keep the players safe. You know what?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards your way, but I definitely agree with the both of you.
Yeah.
But now, speaking of basketball, we're now going to send it over to our basketball correspondent, Owen Hook, to give us an update on Marauder basketball. Owen?
This past weekend, Millersville basketball took on East Stroudsburg in a game with potential PSAC playoff implication for the men's team. Though the women's game didn't have as many major implications for the playoffs, that didn't mean it was any less important. The women's basketball team easily cruised to win over East Stroudsburg, 53 points to 34. Micaiah Shaw was the top scorer for the Ville, scoring a total of 16 points, including 2 free throw points in 36 minutes on the court. As for the men's basketball game, almost 2,000 people came to witness their Marauders take on East Stroudsburg. The two teams had near identical records, with East Stroudsburg being 22-3 and Millersville being 21-4. East Stroudsburg was also ranked, making this even more of an important game for the Marauders, who managed to lead by 13 at the end of the first half. Despite an attempted comeback by the Warriors in the second half, Millersville managed to hold them off and win the game 93-88. The Marauders continue their now 8-game win streak as they head into their final games of the season. With 37 points, Matt Dade was the Marauders' #1 performer in the game over the course of 38 minutes. His 37 points include 2 3-pointers and him going 11 for 13 on free throws. The Marauders hope to continue their win streak as they face Westchester at home tonight and against Lock Haven on the road on March 2nd. Make sure you cheer on your Marauders as much as you can and make some noise. Now we head back to the desk to discuss the latest in the NBA. Dylan, back over to you.
Now, as far as the NBA standings go, Boston has really taken a hold on things, currently on a 9-game winning streak. The Celtics have distanced themselves between the rest of the Eastern Conference. As it stands now, the only teams within 10 games of the Celtics are the Cavs at 7.5 games behind and the Bucks at 8.5 games behind the 1 seed. Do either of you see a team in the Eastern Conference who can challenge them come playoff time? We'll start with Owen.
Honestly, I think that the Cavs, if they can get consistent play out of Donovan Mitchell, they will be able to compete with them in a 7-game series. But other than that, I really think Boston has assembled a great team. They just have such a good team, and it's going to be hard for anybody to beat them 7 games. Like, I don't think that the Bucks can do it. I mean, you have Giannis, but at the same time, Damian Lillard, that. Now that I think about it, there could be something.
Could be.
But at the same time, it's almost a super team that they've assembled in Boston. You got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. You've got, Derek White.
Well, just elite talent and their depth is amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I think that at the end of the day, it's going to be the Celtics coming out of the East, but there are some teams that could give them a run for their money. Look out for the Detroit Pistons coming up, because I think that they're poised for a big run here in the future.
Yeah, maybe in 40 years. But what do you think? Do you think anyone could keep up with Boston?
I want to say this about Boston. There is, every year in different sports, you kind of have a feel like if they don't win the championship this year, it is nothing less than a disappointment. And I think the big one was San Francisco 49ers this year in the Super Bowl. The NFC was so wide open. It was such an easy way to get there. You played Jordan Love and then the Lions, who have never been there. And then to go back to Boston, their toughest competition is the Cavs, who, in my opinion, are still a little young. I don't think that they're as experienced, and we saw them last year get shellacked by the Knicks.
True.
The Bucks are a walking mess with Doc Rivers, and they just, when you fire your head coach, because even it was Giannis wanted that guy, and now he doesn't want that guy. There's just a mess within that locker room, and I picked them to win the finals this year. But right now, I don't trust them. The other teams, the Knicks, I just don't think they're that talented compared to the other teams in the East. Like, I think they're very good, but they don't match up well with Boston of all teams. The Sixers, to me, if Embiid is healthy and the team is can somewhat stay in that 5 to 6 seed, they could make a push. But the Sixers every year find a way to mess it up.
We'll see what Tyrese Maxey is made of when the Sixers get to the playoffs, because they want him to be a leader, and if they're going to make any noise in the playoffs, Tyrese Maxey's got to step up.
I agree. I think Maxey's going to play is going to have to be massive, and same thing with the Buddy Hield trade, and also with Kelly Oubre, stretching out the wing. And the team that went to the finals last year, the Heat, they are just like last year, super inconsistent. You just don't know what team you're getting. So the Celtics, the only way they don't make the finals is if they lose it themselves. They have they have to make the finals this year.
Oh, absolutely.
The pressure is all on Boston. But the thing is, in years past with the Celtics, like last year when they played an 8 seed, they found a way to mess it up. And it's definitely not out of their nature to mess it up again.
Well, I think maybe the Heat could potentially do it. They got good players, 3 players scoring over 20 points a game. But we'll see if anyone can take down the strong Celtics squad. But we now are going to send it over to Nicole Dalton for the latest in Marauder Athletics. Nicole?
Thanks, Dylan. Marauder Athletics had a fantastic week, as all the teams who competed had victories in all of their respective games. This includes softball, men and women's basketball, baseball, and lacrosse. Millersville softball swept Bloomsfield in a doubleheader win with scores of 6-1 and 12-4. This makes them 4-0 for the season. Baseball also had a successful weekend, going 5-2 against Dieuville, 18-1 against Glenville State, and 9-1 against the University of Charleston. Between runs scored off Dieuville errors and a home run by Jimmy Kirk, the team had success at their first meetup between the two schools. In the second inning, shortstop Amani Jones had a 2-out single RBI play, and Kirk's home run gave them a 3-0 lead going into the 4th inning. After a long snow delay against Glenville State, the Marauders had 14 hits and 14 walks, and Sam Morris and Hunter Stevens both hit home runs. They will next play 2 doubleheaders this weekend against Goldie Beacom. Women's lacrosse had a strong on-the-road season opener against the Jefferson Rams, going 14-4. Rachel Keeney's performance helped the team with her scoring the first goal to start the game and scoring over half of the goals. The Marauders led 10-1 at half, which created a difficult situation for the Rams. They will next host Holy Family on March 2nd for their first home game of the season. Congratulations to the Marauders in these games, and we wish the best of luck for the athletes competing this week.
Thanks, Nicole. The NFL Scouting Combine is here and always has its way of changing our entire perceptions of some of the top prospects year in and year out. Names like Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Drake May headline this year's draft class and could potentially be the franchise changers that Mel Kiper swears they are. Owen, what's your take on this year's draft class? Who do you like personally?
Well, first of all, I got to start out by saying that I don't like a lot of these players opting out of the draft combine.
Oh, yeah.
Because that frustrates me. I think that if you are a top pick, it is worth it to go and show these scouts what you're worth at this combine. Because at the end of the day, it's one practice, pretty much a practice. You're showing these people what you're worth, and I feel like it's just part of the overall process. You shouldn't be scared to do it because of injuries. But in terms of who in this class I like, the best prospect of all of them is Marvin Harrison Jr. He is probably the best wide receiver prospect that we've seen in a while. Like, I've seen a lot of these other names come up, Malik Neighbors, Rome Dosnay. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, you did.
But they're not Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is on another level completely. Any team that gets him would be lucky. And that's why I think the Bears should get him. The Bears should take him number 1 overall, if they're going to take him. If they don't, they're stupid. The Commanders, if he falls to number 2, should get him 2nd overall. If they don't, they're stupid. I really think that there's no other player in this draft that matches up to Marvin Harrison Jr. For quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, he's the only one that I see being a franchise player. A franchise. Like, no disrespect to Jalen Daniels on LSU. Sorry, I couldn't think of it for a second. But he just came out of nowhere, honestly, if we're being honest.
Yeah, won the Heisman.
I mean, that's good. He's probably going to play good, but that doesn't usually translate to long-term success when you just come out of nowhere over 1 year. Sometimes that's different, but overall, I really feel like Drake May, not him. Drake May's not going to do anything in this league, I don't think. It's sad, but I see a lot of Zach Wilson in him. I don't like it. There's red flags all over there for me. Out of all of them, though, I would say my favorite is the lineman. Joe Alt on Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a powerhouse.
Penn
lineman.
State has a really good lineman too.
Olu Fashanu.
Yeah.
Yep. He's really good. This entire draft class is going to be so good. I'm excited. I always love getting into the draft, all the hype. So.
Yeah, I can't wait. Bill, do you have any takes on it?
So I first want to start off to say I agree with you completely. Marvin Harrison is the best player in this class, and whoever gets him, that is a gift. There's a good chance he'll probably slip to 4 to Arizona.
I'm with you there, yeah.
Because in my opinion, I know you said you should absolutely, without question, draft Marvin Harrison, the pair of Justin Fields. I don't think you keep Justin, mainly due to the fact that 3 years we've seen 6, 3, and 7 overall wins, and he was hurt on a lot of those games too. There's just not too much. I don't think there's a lot of growth in me. I think they just need to rip off the Band-Aid. Keep in mind, if he plays good next year, you're owing him a bunch of money after that.
Exactly.
And meanwhile, Caleb Williams, if they were to draft him, you're pretty much doing a restart with the rookie contract. He could save up a bunch of money. I do think Caleb is super talented. But you also got to keep in mind with this draft class, there is a very good chance that 6 quarterbacks go in the first round.
That's ridiculous.
It's the top
crazy
10.
to think about.
Ridiculous.
There's if I told you Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix.
McCarthy.
Bo Nix could absolutely probably end up in Denver, honestly. J.J. McCarthy, after he's only got 1 loss his entire college
J.J.
career.
McCarthy has been an NFL prospect being talked about like this for 2 weeks in total. There's he's not NFL caliber.
I don't think he's that good either, but that might be because I'm a Penn State fan. But you also got to keep in mind Michael Penix, pretty good as well, and he just went to the national championship game.
Isn't Michael Penix left-handed though?
That's
a struggle. That's going to be a struggle for the NFL. I hate to be that guy, but I don't know.
Steve Young was a Hall of Famer. He's left-handed.
I mean, overall, it just shows how much of a stacked class the draft is.
Absolutely.
Now we transition into baseball. It's back, and we've already seen some exciting stuff in the first few games. Ohtani and Yamamoto have both debuted for the Dodgers. Top prospects Paul Skenes and Dylan Cruz are paving their path to the major leagues, and many other stars have also gotten to the action. Bill, which players and teams are you the most interested in keeping track of during the spring training?
So I first want to start off and say I am very excited to see where the two big pitchers in free agency are going to go, which is Blake Snell, who was the Cy Young winner in the National League, and Jordan Montgomery. I am excited to see where both of those guys go. But if I want to talk about certain teams, I mean, of course, the Dodgers, right? They have a lot of great players. They made big-time signings with Ohtani, Yamamoto. They brought back Clayton Kershaw. And they are trying to, with the rest of their roster, build around the young guys that they have. But the one young guy that I feel like needs to be talked about is Jackson Holliday. He is, without question, the number one prospect, in my opinion, and he's ever since he's been drafted. Baltimore is filled with young guys that are super talented. Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Austin Hayes. They are loaded, and now they're just getting another guy in that farm system who might be the best out of all those players, and that's going to be super exciting to see. But the one more thing, too, is the Yankees. I'm excited, not just spring training, but through the season. They finally have their number 2 bat behind Aaron Judge with Juan Soto. So, and that was one of the biggest issues I felt they had over the last few years and why they couldn't beat the Astros, because they didn't have a true number 2 bat that you could absolutely trust. So excited to see what the Yankees do this year.
Interesting. Owen, what are you excited about?
This season is going to be so fun. I'm so ready for baseball to come back. I'm excited to see Ohtani and Yamamoto on the same team. That is going to be electric. It's going to make Los Angeles burn down. Not really, but more than the Angels could ever do.
Yeah, exactly.
But honestly, for the teams that I'm excited to see, the Guardians. I'm a Guardians fan. I have to say that. I love them. They have the number 1 pick in the draft next year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be – the future is bright for us. We have Steve Quinn, who is young outfielder who's so much promise. We've got all these key players. I think we're going to make a good run this year. Terry Francona retired, though, which sucks. But
that's right.
It's going to be interesting. The Yankees with Juan Soto, they're going to be so fun. I'm ready to see some Soto bombs in Yankee Stadium. I don't know about you guys. And I just want to say, the Pirates at Paul Skenes, I'm pretty sure that's how you say his last name. That is going to be so fun to watch. He's my favorite prospect, I have to say. His pitching, electric. They've got a good one. They really do. I think he's a once-in-a-lifetime prospect once it comes down to it.
Yeah, well, that's my team, and I'm excited about him too because we don't really have a lot of good pitchers besides him.
No,
so
that's what you've been missing.
We need him to develop, and I'm hopeful for the future. But that'll do it for this episode of In the Zone. For Owen Russell, Bill Cullen, Owen Hook, Nicole Dalton, and the entire In the Zone crew, I'm Dylan Shields. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your spring break, and we'll see you next time right here on In the Zone.